In this video we're going to take care of these squeaking floorboards. As you can see, you can actually tell by the camera movement that the floorboards are rather loose in this area, which is causing them to creak. So the first thing we need to do is actually lift the carpet up, and then we can take a look and we can fix the problem. I have actually seen a video of a screw which is approximately 6 inches long, which somebody has actually driven straight through the carpet and into the joist. So they went along, found out where it was creaking, and put the screw directly through the carpet, through the wood and into the joist. You can't actually do that in the UK. If you do that in the UK, you are asking for trouble. Beneath this carpet are pipes and cables. You get that in most UK properties. And as you can see in this example, we've actually got the top of the stairs. There is a mark across the top there where the safety gate is. And then as we come round, it actually leads off into 2 more bedrooms, and then there's 2 more bedrooms behind me. So it is quite a difficult carpet to lift. So what we need to do is look for a corner, and we need to find out where we can lift the carpet up from. So this is the top step, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get hold of the carpet there, and you can actually see that it is a little bit loose. And I can just get my finger behind that. You do have to be careful when you do this because there's a carpet gripper behind there which is very sharp. Now we've got that out, we can pull that back. And I do have to warn you now to keep your fingers away from the carpet gripper because it is very sharp and it will pierce your skin. Once we've got the carpet up, we can then lift up the underlay. You'll often find that this is stapled down, but in this instance it's actually been removed in the past, probably to do some plumbing or some electrical work. Now that we've got the carpet up, you can see what an actual mess this is. We have a chipboard floor which has been cut in places. It is screwed down in several places, but this board that's doing the majority of the creaking doesn't actually seem to be screwed down anywhere, or anywhere where I can see the screws. What you'll find in a lot of cases is that people have nailed down the boards, and that is the wrong thing to do because they will always work loose. Also, people screw them down and they use the incorrect screws. They can work loose over time and then they cause creaking again. One thing you should never do is go around and put screws in randomly because you do not know what is under the floor. There could actually be pipes or cables very close to the surface. If you put a screw in there, there's a chance that it could pierce a pipe or go into an electrical cable. So you do have to be very careful. To screw the boards down, we're going to use these floor-tight flooring screws. These are specifically developed for this job, and they do have a twin thread and a single thread in the same screw. That means that they are incredibly difficult to pull out. So once these are in, they should hold the boards down with no problems at all. If your existing floorboards are squeaking and you've already got screws in, it is a good idea to remove some of them and put some of these in because these will prevent the floorboards from squeaking. Take that out. Obviously you can see that that is not suitable for holding down a floorboard. And then we'll simply replace that with the correct type of screw. You can do this with nails as well. If you remove the nail, obviously there's nothing that the screw or nail can hit, so you can do a direct replacement. What you should never do is try to go at the side of it because there is a possibility that there is a cable or a pipe running underneath. So I'm now going to screw that back down. And obviously when you choose these screws, you don't want really long ones because there could be cables running through the joists, etc. So I'm just going to screw that in there. And that will guarantee that the floor does not squeak. In some properties you will have traditional pine tongue and groove floorboards. It's quite common to find these nailed down and that can cause them to creak. A simple way to fix that problem is to remove the nails and replace them with some decent screws. So if you take a look at this long board, you can see that there's virtually no screws at all in it. In fact, I can only actually find one screw right at the top end. So I'm going to remove that screw and we're going to see if we can lift this board up and we'll take a look underneath. So I'm now going to try and lever this up from this end. And with a bit of luck, we'll be able to get this board up and take a look underneath it, and then we'll see why it's not actually screwed down. So you can see there why the floor has been lifted in the first place. It was obviously to put the pipes in, perhaps the cables. So the good news is that we've got plenty of places where we can put some good quality screws in there, and that will stop the boards from creaking. When you get to this part of the floor, you can see that somebody's wrought more and put 2 lines on, and that is actually indicating where those pipes are. So I'm going to go to the other end and I'm going to draw 2 lines on there, and then when we put the board back, we know exactly where the pipes are. And then on this piece of chipboard, I'm actually going to put a mark showing where the joists are, and then we actually know where we can put the screws when we come to replace the floor. Before I put the large board back, I'm actually going to put a few screws into this piece and that adjoining piece there. The problem is that that is very close to the end of the joist there. For that reason, we're going to drill a pilot hole, and we're going to drill it on an angle so that it goes into that joist. We'll also pre-drill this one as a precaution. So to drill this, I'm going to start off with the drill straight up, and once I've started drilling the hole, I'm going to turn it like so, and then I'll drive into that joist on an angle. Can then simply take a screw and I can drive that straight in there on an angle, and we're guaranteed not to break the chipboard. And obviously you do need to ensure that screws are flush with the surface. And again, ensure that it's flush with the surface. So we can now replace this large board. Simply going to slide that into position. So it's now safe to stand on the board. We can now take a straight edge. We can draw a line in down there. And then anyone in future will know that there are pipes beneath there. So I'm just going to put a dot where the joist is in 3 places, and then I'm going to change them to crosses, and we know exactly where to put the screws. Now we've done that, all we need to do is take the floor tight screws and drive those in exactly where the crosses are. There are some people that say that you can put talcum powder between the joints. That might work temporarily, but eventually it is going to stop working. So this is by far the best permanent solution. So now we've done that, you can guarantee that the floor will not squeak again. Now all we have to do is put the flooring back. So I'm going to start off with the underlay. And you just need to ensure that it goes back in the exact right position. It doesn't want to be over the carpet gripper like that, it needs to be in between the carpet grippers. If you want to, you can actually staple that back down, although it is a bit pointless because it's not really going to go anywhere. Once you've done that, you can then put the carpet back. When you do this, you need to ensure that you don't get any creases or bubbles in the carpet. So we can do that by starting at a central point like that. And then we can ensure that it's down, and you can just kick that across with your feet. When you come to a threshold like this, if you push the carpet like so, and then get something that's blunt, a lot of people like to use a bolster chisel for this, but you can use anything that's got a wide flat edge on it, and you can simply push the carpet back underneath. Once you've done that, you can then stand on it, and that should then be gripped back in position. So we then need to ensure that the carpet is pushed back exactly as it was. And then we just need to ensure that the top step is put back as it was. So ensuring that it's on the grippers at the sides there. And I'm going to take something that's not going to damage the carpet and I'm going to push that in. You do have to be aware that the carpet grippers are very sharp, and when you're doing this, you don't want to be pressing where the carpet gripper is because it will damage your fingers. Again, once you push that in, if you just stand on it, that should ensure that it never comes out again. Then all you need to do is go around the perimeter, just ensuring that it is on the carpet grippers. So now the floorboards are back, you can see that there's absolutely no squeak there whatsoever. That is as quiet as anything. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, and you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel.